In this lesson, I will explain to you how to run a Vue application. You can read the necessary information on the first page of our documentation. And please visit the official website vue.js.org, click Docs, then Guide and then Quick Start. So, in general, we have two main approaches how to run a Vue application. First of all, you can use npm. In this case, you need to install Node.js on your computer and then run this command. So you will work with the Create Vue tool. It is the official tool for creating single-page applications on your local machine. You can open this link and read more information about the Create Vue tool. Also, you need to know that the previous Vue version works with the command line interface tool, but the last Vue version works with the Create Vue tool. And here you can read about the difference between these tools. In general, the previous version based on Webpack, and the modern version is based on Vite. You can visit this link and read about these two. Okay, so I described to you the first approach, how to run a Vue application. It was npm. And now the second approach. It is using Vue from CDN. In this case, you need only to copy this tag to your HTML page and you can deal with Vue. And let me try to run our first application with help of this approach. So I open online editor, it is CodePen editor, then I click Pen, and here you see three sections: HTML, CSS and JavaScript. To add the view, I need to click Settings, then select JavaScript and copy this link. Okay, copy and paste it here. Then click Save and Close. Also, I can click Console here and read the current information. So you are running a development build of Vue. Okay, now I can deal with Vue. Now go back to our documentation and copy this section about a Vue application. Okay, copy and then paste it here. So I don't use npm, so I delete this import. And also I delete plugin because I don't use any plugin. I see mistake here and create app is not defined. It's clear for me because nobody knows what is create app. So I need to add a global Vue variable vue dot, and now it works. Okay, so in general, first of all, we need to use create app and provide here root component options. Let me read the documentation about this. Click creating an application, and here every application starts by creating a new application instance with the create app function, and inside this function we need to provide root component options. The root component can contain other components as its children, something like on this picture. Okay, go back to our online editor, and as you see, root component, it is an object. So I can delete it, and here I can create a new variable. It is an object. Okay, now I can copy this name and paste here. I can take root components options from the official website. Click Introduction, and here is a minimal example, and I need to copy this part. Copy and paste it here. Okay, now let me talk about the second mount method. Go to the website, click Creating an application, go down, and here is information about the mount method. In general, the mount method renders a Vue application, and we need to provide a CSS selector. So go to the introduction to our basic example, please copy this part to the HTML section. OK. And as you see here, I provided ID to this div element. And now our root component will be rendered inside this div element. And also I can use here any view syntax. In our case, we added a counter. So here I used a CDN approach to start the Vue application, and now I want to show you the first approach. It means npm. In this case, open this link. It is also an inline editor, but more powerful than CodePen. And here you see the project. And this project was created by CreateVue tool. You can open this folder and file main.js. Here you can see the import of createApp function from the Vue, it is clear, then import of CSS and import of root component. Then call a createApp and provide a root component. Then call the mount method and provide ID of div. You can see this div here. And now let me check our root component. We imported our root component from this file app.vue. And here you can see three main sections: template section, script section, and style section. Also you can check our documentation, and here you can see that single file components have three sections: template, script, and style. And what is single file components? Let's check the official documentation and click single file components. So single file components is a special file format that allows us to encapsulate the template, logic, and styling of your component in a single file, so you can use one file for one component. Let's go back to our documentation, and you need to know that the template section from here can contain these instances. It means HTML interpolations, directives, custom components, special components, and special attributes. And let's check our root component. So inside our root component we see the template section, and here you can see basic HTML and also a custom component, because we imported this component here. And also we can open this component, go to the components folder and open hello-world.vue. It is also a single file component, and there are three sections: a script section, a template section, and a style section. And inside this component it is only HTML syntax with some other Vue features. Now I want to simplify our project, so I delete this part, then click Save button, also open Hello World, delete this part, OK, and this one, click Save. So in conclusion, now you know how to start a Vue application, and there are two main approaches: use npm and use CDN. And you know what is a single file component. There are three sections inside these components: template, script, and style sections. And you can use one file for one component, and template section can contain these instances. In this lesson I start to talk about the script section in the single file components. At this moment you need to know that there are three different API styles: Options API, Composition API, and Script Setup. It is something like Composition API option. And you can use any style inside the script section. And be careful when you read the official documentation, because here you can see a checkbox to change API preference. For example, you can open Watchers page, go to the basic example and try to change options to composition API and you will see the different syntax. The first part of my course will be about Options API. So please open page number 8 and here is an information about Options API. So when you use Options API, the script section can contain these instances. As you see, the script section has an export default object. So copy this string, go to our project, find hello world.u file and then the script section and delete everything. OK, and create a new script section. Script, paste export default object and close braces. It means we started to use an Options API inside the script section. And in this lesson I want to talk about a data function. So please open the page number 10, OK? And it is a function that returns the initial reactive state for the component instance. And please copy this, go to our project and paste it here. And please delete this string and write count:0 and click Save. Data function has a return object. Inside this object we can describe any reactive data. You can ask me, what is reactive data? It means if somebody changes a reactive variable, for example this count variable, Vue updates or renders the page. For example, now this button updates count. I click this button and you see the updated page every time. I am going to explain to you about the reactivity of Vue in detail in the next lesson. In the previous lesson I explained to you a data function. And now I want to talk about methods. Please visit page number 11. OK, and inside methods object you can declare any methods and please avoid using arrow functions. Please copy this part of code and go to our project and after the data function paste it. OK, use tabulation and close braces. Now it's correct. And don't forget to use comma after the data function. I need to increment a count variable, so replace a to count and please write here inside this statement name of our method. Name is plus. And check our counter. Click this button and everything works correctly. Later I will explain to you this statement, but at this moment you need to understand when we click this button calls a plus method. Inside plus method we increment the count variable and Vue updates the page. In conclusion, now you can use method option inside the script section. This option allows you to declare any methods and please avoid using arrow functions. To call reactive variables, please use this. As I told you in the previous lessons, all variables inside the data function are reactive. In this case, a count is a reactive variable. Reactive, it means Vue looks after this variable, so if this variable changes, Vue will update our page. In our case, when we click this button, we call a plus method. And this method changes a count value And as you see, Vue updates every time our page and you see a new value of the count variable. And now let me analyze how the reactivity works under hood. So please open our documentation, the first page, and here is information about Vue 3 reactivity. So Vue uses JavaScript proxies to organize the reactivity. For example, we have an initial object target, and this object has two fields, message 1 and message 2. And then we create new proxy. We provide the initial object target, and we provide a handler object. The handler object has two functions, get and set. For example, let me try to get message 1 value. So I write console.log proxy.message1 and I expect hello because message 1 has a hello value. But the proxy changed the typical behavior, and when I try to get something, the proxy calls this function get. And as you see, this function every time returns reading, so it will be reading. So the proxy object allows you to create an object that can be used in place of the original object. Yes, we did it because this is our original object and this is our new object created by help of the proxy. And then the proxy may redefine fundamental object operations like getting, setting, and defining properties. Yes, because we use this handler object, and inside this object we have two functions, get and set. So the proxy changed the getting and setting operations. And now let me try to set message 1. I write proxy.message1 equal 2. And in this case the proxy calls set function, and this function calls the render. So this statement calls the render. In conclusion, all variables inside the data function are reactive. In this case, the count is a reactive variable, and Vue looks after these variables and updates the page under hood. Vue uses the proxy class, so Vue wraps all variables to proxy objects. And these proxy objects help you to call this page render after the setting operation. Like in this example, you can read more information about the reactivity on the official website. Visit docs, guide, and then reactivity. Also, you can click or visit this link to read about JavaScript proxies. Please go to our project and open the hello world.vue file, and it is time to talk about this syntax. About double curve braces, go to our documentation, we talk about single file components and about the template section. And as I told you in the previous lesson, the template section can contain these instances. And I want to talk about interpolations, page number 2. So in general, the interpolations allows us to provide data from the script section to the template section with help of double curve braces. Please open our project, and here as you see we use the double braces and try to provide a message variable to the page, but we don't have any message variable inside the script section, and of course we don't have any message on the page. So we need to add the message variable to the data function. Don't forget to use comma because it is an object, and here I write message equals hello. And now we provided the message to the template section and you see hello on the page. Also inside the interpolations we can use single JavaScript expressions. For example, I can add here dot to uppercase, and as you see our message has uppercase. And of course we can use methods here. For example, I can provide here a method plus, because we have this method inside the script section, but the method plus nothing returns, so I can add here return, and now we can see the count value. In conclusion, in the template section we can use interpolations. This instance allows us to provide some data from the script section. You can see examples here. In this lesson I want to talk about another option of the template section. There are directives. Please visit page number 2, and also please open the official documentation. Go to Docs, Guide, Template Syntax, and go down to Directives. Okay. So directives are special attributes. With the v prefix, v provides a number of built-in directives. You can click API and then go down. And here are directives. There are all directives from the Vue package. I propose to start with vue.on directive. So please open page number 4, and the vue.on directive attaches an event listener to the element, so we need to write vue.on and then the name of event and then provide a method. Also we can use a shorthand version. It is add symbol and then a name of event. Please open our project, and here inside Hello World file, inside button we use the vue.on directive, but here we use a shorthand version. The full version will be vue.on, then colon, click, and inside this we provide a method, the plus method. Please remember that here you can use quotes to provide parameters. But in our case we don't provide any parameters, so it doesn't matter for us. Here is an example how we can provide parameters. The first parameter is string hello, and the second parameter is an event object. If you want to use the event object inside method, you need to provide this special word. Okay, open please our project, and here add quotes and provide the special word event. Now I can catch it inside the plus method. So I add a parameter, for example e, and then I use this message variable equals event object type of event. Okay, be sure that here you provide message to the page. Okay, and now click and you see name of our event. Also we can use dynamic events. Later I will show you how it works. And there are many modifiers for this vue.on directive. To use modifier, please write dot and then the name of modifier. For example, we can use once, and the click event will be triggered at most once. Open please our project and add here dot once, click save and try to click. It triggers only once, so I cannot change the count value. To read more about vue.on directive, please open the official documentation. In conclusion, the template section can contain directives. And one of the most important directives is vue.on directive. It attaches an event listener to the element. So, in the previous lessons, I described you the reactivity, interpolations, and directives. There are very important features of Vue, and please open the official documentation, click Docs, guide, and then introduction, and go down here. My previous lessons demonstrate the two core features of Vue. First of all, it is declarative rendering. Vue extends standard HTML with a template syntax that allows us to declaratively describe HTML output based on JavaScript state. It is about template features, about interpolations and directives, and some other features. Okay, the next core feature is reactivity. Vue automatically tracks JavaScript state changes and efficiently updates the DOM when changes happen. It is about a data function and about these reactive variables. So, there were the two core features of Vue framework: declarative rendering and reactivity. I continue to talk about the directives, and please open the page number 3. And here is a vbind directive. It is one of the most popular directive. Vbind dynamically binds one or more attributes or a component prop to an expression. And here is a basic example. So vbind, it is a name of directive, and then src, it is a name of attribute. And please now open our project. In the template section, I want to add a new image tag. Okay, and also I want to create a new reactive variable, link. It will be a string, and now I want to find an interesting link. Okay, go to the official website, go down here, for example, there are many pictures, right click, view code, and I copy this link. Go to our project and paste it here. And now I want to provide this variable to this attribute, src. So I need to use a vbind directive, write vbind, and provide the link variable. Click save. Okay, and you see a new picture here. Okay, great. But friendly speaking, programmers very often use shorthand version. Go to our documentation, and shorthand version of vbind is colon symbol. So I can delete here vbind. Click save, update, and it works correctly. Also, we can use a very interesting feature. We can use a dynamic attribute name like this. So open our project. Here I want to add one more reactive variable, attribute name. It is a string src. Okay, go down to my image, and here I create square braces and write inside the attribute name. Click save and refresh. Everything works correctly, because now we also provided the attribute name, src, by help of this variable. So let's continue. The next feature is inline string concatenation. It is easy. The next is class binding. In this case, you can use some options. First of all, you can use condition object. In this case, if is read true, a class will be read. Let me show you. Please copy this statement. Okay, go to our project, and let me add it here. So also I need to create a new class, red. In this case, a color will be red. Easy. And also I need to create a new variable is red inside the data function. Let me show you. If I write false, click Save. Update, nothing happens with hello. But if I write true, click Save, and you see that hello has red color. Because in this case, if is red true, h1 has a red class. Then also you can use array of classes without any condition. And the last option is mix. You can mix a condition object and an array. The next feature is style binding. You can use this object and you can use an array of objects. Next feature is an object of attributes, like this, and about custom components. I will talk later. In conclusion, VueBind is a very important and very popular directive. You can read more information about it on the official website. Let me open the official website, close this. Okay, go to API and go down to the directives. Here. And our directive is VueBind. I continue to talk about the directives. Please open the second page and vif directive. Vif conditionally renders an element. So if you provide a false here, Vue doesn't render this element. And if you provide a true here, Vue renders this element. Also you can use vif with velse and velse if directives. Let me show you an example. Okay, I delete this, then method. Okay, this class binding. Okay, small error. Okay. Once modifier and also image. Now I create vif directive. Vif equals string and provide, for example, isRender variable. And also I need to add this variable here, isRender, for example, true. And also I provide message. Click Save, refresh. This is our button, okay? So I provided here true and Vue renders this h1 element and you see hello. But if I write here false, as you understand, Vue doesn't render this element. I want to create a new method, change render. I need to create it here also. It is a function and inside it I want to change isRender variable. Okay. Don't forget to use this. And also write inside the button the text change render. So it means when I click this button, change render, I call change render function. And inside it I change isRender variable from false to true and from true to false. Let me try. Click change render and I see hello. Once more and Vue doesn't render this element. Now I want to use velse directive. So I can copy this string. For example, delete vif and write velse and also write inside h1. For example, by. And now try to click our button. So how does it work? When isRender variable is false, Vue renders this h1. And when is rendered true, Vue renders the message variable. It means hello. In conclusion, the vif directive conditionally renders an element. You can also read more information on the official website. Go to API, then go down and find vif. So go ahead, and the next directives are vtext, vhtml and vshow. Vtext updates the element's text content, so we can use interpolations of vtext. For example, open our project, and here we used interpolations. But I can use a vtext directive instead. For example, I need to provide the message and delete this one. OK, save and update. Everything works correctly. And the next directive is vhtml. It updates the elements in HTML. For example, we can add a new variable HTML. It is a string with h2 tag. And now I can use vhtml and provide here the HTML variable. OK, click Save, Update, change render, and you see bro. Because now the inner HTML of this element is taken from here. And the last one is vshow directive. Vshow toggles the element's visibility and doesn't delete element from DOM. So you need to understand the difference between the vshow and the vif directives. Vif is responsible for the render, but vshow is responsible for the visibility. Let me show you. I delete this string, click Save, Update, check. It works, OK. Open Code Inspector. OK, then find our h1 tag here and let me see. So when I use the vif directive, you see that Vue renders or Vue doesn't render this h1 element. Now I change vif to vshow, and when I click this button, every time I see h1 element, only the visibility is changing. In conclusion, now you know vtext, vhtml and vshow directives. And remember about the difference between vshow and vif. In this lesson I want to talk about the next directive. It is v4 directive on the 4th page. You can use this directive when you want to render a list of items. This list can be taken from an object or from an array. OK, please open our project. And I want to delete many things here. Methods. OK, and our template, also this class. OK, click Save. And now I want to create a list of users. And you can visit this fake API JSON placeholder.typecode.com. Then go down here and Resources. And here are users. Click Users, and this is an array of users. So I propose to copy 3 users. 1, 2, 3, enough. Copy, go to our project. And here I create a new reactive variable, a users array. OK, and paste here the copied users. OK, tabulation. Just a second. Let me check one more time. OK, now I propose you to close some fields. OK, address, company, address, company, and address, company. OK, so we have an users array and I want to render it. Please open our magical documentation and copy this string. Go to the template section here and paste it. So now we need to provide here our array. And go up, copy the users array variable and paste it here. Now I can use interpolations inside this div element. So first of all, I need to use an item variable. And as you see, every item, it is an object. So if I want to render, for example, ID, I need to use dot and name of this field. Name is ID and we see ID1, ID2 and ID3. OK, now I want to add a name. For example, I write name and colon and then use the interpolations. So item, then dot and a field name. OK, save and you see the identifier and the name of every user. OK, perfect. And now I want to render an information about a company. Company, it is an object, and I also can use the v4 directive to render the items from this object. So I can wrap this to the div element, for example. OK, just a second. And now go to our documentation and copy this string. Go back and paste it here. And now we need to set here our object. In our case, our object will be item.company because we want to render this object. OK, so I copy this name and paste it here. OK, so inside this div element we can use the interpolations. And in this case I want to render a key from here and then a value. OK, copy, paste, save, refresh. Let me add some small corrections. I write company, then colon. Here I add tag BR. OK, and now I want to add a style for the div element. Text line left, click Save and refresh. Now it's more better, so we can see the name, ID, then the information about the company. Also, you can see here a key attribute. This is a very important attribute and I recommend you to use it every time when you render a list by help of v4 directive, because a key attribute helps a view to optimize a render. Please remember, a key must be unique. So a key expects a unique number or a unique string. In this case, we provided unique ID of the user, and don't forget our previous lesson. And here is vbind directive. It is a full version, or use a shorthand version is colon. In conclusion, now you know how to use the v4 and how to render a list from an array like this and from an object like this. Also, you can read our documentation. This is about an array, about a key. This is about an array, object, about an array, and about nested v4. And also you need to know that v4 can be used with the vf directive, and vif has a higher priority than v4, so move a v4 to a wrapping template, for example, like this. And now please open the official documentation. Okay, go to API, then go down, find directives and v4. You can read more information about v4. More examples are here, and also click list rendering v4. Again, and read about v4 with an object, okay, with range, with template, with v4 and vif. I told you about these problems. And about key. Also read documentation about key, because it is recommended to provide a key attribute with v4 whenever possible. Go ahead with the directives, and the next directive is vmodel. It is a very important and popular directive. So vmodel creates a two-way binding on a form input element or a component. Let me show you. Please open our project. Okay, now delete everything inside the template and delete this big array. Okay, now please create inside the template section an input element. And we need to create a new reactive variable. For example, a message. It will be message, and it is a string, for example, hello. And now I need to provide my message variable to the input element. As you know, the input has a value attribute. And to bind something to this attribute, I can use vbind directive, and vbind shorthand version is colon, then equal, and provide our variable message. Copy and paste. So click save and refresh. Then I create a new div element and use the interpolations to provide also message variable. So we see hello inside the div element and hello inside the input. And now I want to change hello variable when I change the text inside this input. So I need to add vOn directive. And then the name of event is input. When I change something, it calls an input event. And then provide, for example, a change method. provide inside it an event object. Then I need to modify the methods option and then add our new method. Okay, it is a function object event, and then I need to change a message variable. So I use this, then message, okay, and it will be an event, then target, and then value. Click Save and refresh. And now let me check our behavior. So I try to write something inside the input, and you see the variable message is changing also. Okay, it is a very magic behavior. It means I organized two-way binding between this variable and this input element. So when I change the input, I also change this variable. And when I change this variable here, I change the input also. And here I can use another syntax. I can use a vModel directive instead this statement. So I need to write vModel, then equal and provide variable. And then we check our behavior. Click Save, then Update. Okay. Okay, everything works correctly. In conclusion, vModel creates a two-way binding between variables and HTML form elements. And we can use vModel inside a custom component. But I will explain it to you later. And of course you can visit the official documentation. Please open the official website, go to API, then go down, find directives and read about vModel. You can use an input element, a select element or a text array and also custom components. Also, this directive has modifiers, lazy, number, trim. You can read information about this. Now please open the main menu, and now you know about the most popular directives. vIf, vShow, vBind, vSlot I will explain to you later, v4, vOn, vModel, and now I want to discuss about these directives. Please open the page number 6. So there are directives vpre, vOnce and vclock. vpre skips compilation inside an element. The most common use case is displaying these mustache tags. For example, copy this string and paste it to our project in the template section here. You can see that this will not be compiled. It means we can write inside many curve braces and the interpolations will not work. The next directive is vOnce. It renders the element once only. Let me check. Copy this string, go to our project to the template, delete the previous one and paste it here. And I propose to change span to div element. Okay, and here div. So at the initial moment we see hello message. But when I try to change this hello, this block doesn't change, as you see, because vOnce stops the element updating. And the last one is vclock. It can be used to hide the raw templates until the component is ready with help of this syntax. And one more interesting thing. You can create your own directives. Please open the official website, then click Docs, Guide, then go to Reusability and custom directives. So it is an advanced topic and you can read it later. But you need to know that you can create custom directives. You need to use special syntax and so on. So we finished the directives, and the next option in the template section is a special attributes. Please open the page number 6, special attributes. So the first one is a key attribute. It uses to optimize a virtual DOM render. Also a key uses with v4 directive. I told you about this in the previous lessons. The next one is ref attribute. It uses to register a reference to an element. So copy this and open our project, please. And let me delete the method and delete the input and div. OK, and let me add a new button. Click me, for example. And then create a vue directive. So I used a shorthand version, it is @ symbol. Then I need to provide a name of method. OK, for example, click, and here I need to add this function. Click. OK. And now paste our ref attribute here. So ref equals p. Inside it I can provide any name. P it is just an example, so we can write, for example, my div. And now I want to look at this ref object. So inside the click method I can write something like this. This message equals, go to our documentation and copy this. Copy and paste. So click Save. And now click our button. So as you see, a ref is an object. And inside this object we see my div field. Like this, yes? And my div equals HTML element. It means this element. Of course, we can add more reference to this ref object. For example, I can copy this div, then paste it and write inside div2. For example, delete interpolations. And now, as you see, this object refs has two fields, my div and my div2. So now I can use these references to control or to modify our HTML elements, this div and that div. Let me show you the next example. I delete the second div and inside click method I will use this dot refs, then dot my div, it will be this HTML element, and dot class list, and then method toggle, and inside it I provide this class. Click Save and try to click. So when I click this button, it calls this method. And inside this method I find my div, and then I add or delete this class. So you see the color changing. Maybe it will be better if I write here, for example, red color. OK, try once more. No, why? OK, click Save, refresh. Now it is red. So in conclusion, the template section can contain the special attributes. One of them is a key attribute. The second one is a ref, and the last one is a is attribute. I will describe it later.